Can an AI agent help me refill my prescriptions without talking to my doctor?
Let's find out. This is AI Agents A to Z.
You know what I've been thinking about?
No, I don't.
The other day, I called my doctor's phone number because apparently I can reorder my prescriptions from there. But it was such a crazy process. I called and I thought I was going to talk to a human. And it turned out it was this recording. And immediately it just said, give me your name, your phone number, your email. What's the name of your prescription? What's the dosage? What's your pet's first name? What's the school that you attended in 5th grade? And I had no idea how to respond. And so I had to hang up, write everything down in my notes app. I had to call back, say everything. And then at the end, it just said, thanks, goodbye. So I had no idea if I also had to call again if I had multiple prescriptions that I wanted to refill. And it was just this really frustrating process. Is there a way to build an agent, an AI agent to handle this for me?
Sure it is. Let's build an AI agent that takes the patient's data, checks the records in the database, and then verifies if the patient has access to prescribed medications. And then after confirming which medication the patient wants, it will create an order in the system and then confirm it to the patient. How does that sound?
Oh, I like it already. Okay, so where do we start with this, right? I like a little bit of planning. Like, is there something that we can do to first figure out all the steps that we need to take care of?
For sure. Let's do some flowcharts. So the way it would work, the patient would start with chatting with the agent. The agent would ask for authentication details like date of birth and a phone number or an email address. And then the agent would look up the records in the database. If it cannot find it, then it would direct it to the doctor. And then if the authentication is successful, then it would check which medications are approved for the patient. If there are none, again, then it would direct it to the doctor. Otherwise, it would confirm which medication to order. And once the patient would confirm that, then it would create the order in Notion and then confirm it to the patient.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got Notion here. Tell me a little bit about what this is, or at least what it represents for our example.
Well, this is just a proof of concept. In a real-life scenario, we would never use Notion as a database, but this is just an easy introductory method to build an AI agent for this purpose.
Okay. So do we jump into Notion now?
Sounds good. I have pre-created a Notion page where we have a patient's table with maybe 2 imaginary person.
Imaginary.
And there's a table for all the medications that is available at the pharmacy at this moment. And then you can see that there is a relation table which contains connections between the patients and the approved medication. So for my person, I have Advil and Coldrex pre-approved. And then the orders are going to be inserted into this last table.
Yeah. So obviously in a real life situation, you wouldn't necessarily need all of these databases listed out together, right? It depends on however the doctor has their records.
Correct. They would probably use a more sophisticated database.
Yeah. Okay. What is the tool that we're going to use to build this AI agent?
Yes, we are using n8n, and we're going to build a workflow to manage this whole process. So first thing first, we need to set up some credentials. And I already have both OpenAI and Notion set up, but I do want to show you how to do it on your own. I'm going to put the links in the description below, and you can open the documentation and read it on your own. But I'm going to put in the integrations part from Notion. So the way you create a new integration is you click on the add integration, you select the workspace you want to integrate with. And in this case, we are using an internal type, which means that we are not going to share this Notion integration with anyone else. This is going to be an in-house product. I'm going to name it like n8n local integration. And after saving it in the configuration, this is the right configuration that is required by n8n to work with.
So your database can talk to n8n. That's what this does?
It is able to read the contents, update it, and insert new ones. So this is just the first half of the process. And then let me copy out my token. So once you have the token, you create a new credential and you search for Notion. And you need to name it. So this is going to be local n8n Notion. Once you save it, it's going to run a test. And there you go. It did work. So we can start using this. And the same applies to OpenAI. However, before we go there, you do need to add to all the pages where you want the integration to have access to, you need to enable that integration. So you can see here, you need to click on that and confirm that the integration has access to this page and all the child pages inside. So now we are ready to move forward. And for OpenAI, you do need to create an API key. You just need to name it. Again, you can see I already have some local n8ns, but I'm going to just say this is n8n. It should be in the project, whichever you are using. And after clicking on it, you'll have the API key that you can copy. And then after copying it, go back to the credentials. You create a new credential and you just need to insert the API key and okay. And this is OpenAI. After saving it, you can see that it was successful, so you can start using it.
Okay, so this just ensures OpenAI, Notion, and n8n are all chatting.
Correct.
Okay.
This is the prerequisite for this project.
Okay. So now that we've got these credentials set up, what are we doing now?
We are going to build a workflow, and that workflow will contain our AI agent. So the first step is to add a trigger that is going to start the workflow. We are going to use a chat trigger. This chat trigger is going to be, imagine it like a chatbot. You can use this chatbot from n8n to integrate into any existing website as a widget. Or you can also just publish it on the internet and then share the link so people can just go there and interact with this chat interface.
Nice.
The next step is to add the node. So we are going to use the AI agent node. And that's going to be handling everything. So it's going to have access to tools. It's going to have authority. We are going to give it a very detailed system prompt where we explain its purpose and all the steps it needs to take to fulfill its goals. It's going to have some memory, so all the chat messages coming in won't get lost. It's going to remember up to the number we set. Actually, let's set it up. We are going to use the simplest way, which is the memory buffer, and let's use maybe 15 messages that it should save.
Does that mean it forgets after 15?
Yes, this is, if you don't set a memory, it's stateless. So It's like good analogy would be cookies on the websites.
Oh.
And you do need to set up a chat model. We are going to use OpenAI. And then obviously you can get away with GPT-4o mini. For purposes where there are mission critical tasks, I usually recommend using a better and stronger model. So we're just going to use GPT-4o. And
There's so many.
yes, this would be the one that is stable.
Yeah.
And our agent is going to have access to 4 tools. The first tool is going to be, if we go back to the Notion page, to a tool to get all the patients. The other tool is going to be getting all the medications, also getting all the pre-approved medications for patients. And then the last one is inserting new prescription orders.
Okay. So pulling from 3 tools and pushing to 1, if I understand.
Correct. So I'm going to add the system prompt first. So I do have it ready. Let me copy it. And I'm going to use an expression so I can show you what it is. You can see it's quite detailed, but I'll be honest, I wrote like a very non-detailed, however descriptive version, and I used DeepSeek to extend it to a better version. And you can see that here. But what basically does, it explains the available tools and then the different like communication style, the steps it needs to take, the error paths, what to do if something goes wrong, and then some prohibited actions as well.
How important is this part? Like you said, you kind of fiddled with the wording for a while. Like, is this the most critical part to get right so that this AI agent works?
Try to imagine it like if you would have an employee, and this is the onboarding process for the employee. So without explaining what the agent should do, it's not going to do a good job. And since it has access to those tools, it could misbehave and even corrupt your database or worse. So yeah, this is very, very important that you nail the system prompt for the AI agent. So let's create some tools. It's going to be quite fast. So I'm going to start with creating the Notion get all patients. And this is going to access the database pages, and it's going to get many patients.
Okay.
And then we are going to return everything. So we don't really have anything else to do here. And then we can use the connection that we did set up earlier. So this is our first tool. Second tool is going to be another Notion tool with selecting all the pre-approved medications for the patient. And then this is going to be again a get many, returning everything. And let's name it Notion get all approved prescriptions.
Okay, so that's 2.
And then for the third one, we're gonna have another database page, get many, and then we're gonna get all the medications because we need to cross-reference the name, and then we're gonna return everything. In a real-life scenario, you would do filters in the database, so you wouldn't waste resources to get data that you don't really need. And let's also rename this so it's clear what it does. So this is get all medication names. Okay. So the last one is going to be the insert. So Notion add order. So we need to have a create database page. We're going to insert into the prescription orders. The title is the first field, which is the identifier. In this case, it's the patient field. So I'm going to use n8n's magic to fill out the details. And I'm going to say that this is the full name of the patient. And then I'm going to add the remaining properties. So for medications, we're going to use, again, the data is going to come from the model. And this is the name of the medication. I'm going to say prescribed medication. And then the last field is going to be the order date. So I'm going to add an expression here where I can say the $now, which means this is the date and time at the moment of the insertion.
I saw, for some of these, you just selected the define automatically by the model.
Yes.
Is it okay to just choose that if maybe I'm experimenting with this for the first time and I don't really know exactly what I want there?
I think for agentic purposes, most of the time, it's a good option to use, unless you could, for example, create a sub-workflow where the input field would be defined. And in that case, you could use an expression to insert that variable inside.
Okay. But for our purposes, what you've put in here is actually the best
I think so.
inputs to use. Okay.
That is correct. So I'm a bit afraid, but let's try out how it works. I just need to remind myself of my details. Okay. So let's start a chat session. I'm going to say hello. And you can see on the right side how the agent is executing the different steps. So I'd like to fill my prescriptions. So it needs my full name, date of birth, and some other identifications. So I'm going to say my name. And I think it's the one, yes. So you can see here, it got all the approved prescriptions. Then it also pulled all the medication names. It did a cross-reference, and now it knows that I have these two prescribed, exactly the same as it is in the database.
Yeah.
And I think I want some cold Rex because it's still quite cold. So
Please.
yes, it's always good to be nice to the chatbots in case they rebel. So now it says it's processed. Let's see. We have the patient name, the medication, and the order date is also seems to be correct. So I think we are done here.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to this diagram. Let's compare. So you started the chat, authenticated who you were, looked up your pre-approved prescriptions, and confirmed your medications. This last one for creating the order, where could we go from here? Could it send me an email or text me when exactly I can go pick it up? What are the possibilities to go from here?
Good question. Well, possibilities are infinite. So you could add new tools and you could instruct the model to do other things after finishing filling out the orders. So you could, one, send an email, send a text message. You could insert it to another place. You could also notify the doctor. So endless possibilities. It's just your imagination.
Yeah. I love it. Didn't even have to talk to the doctor.
There you go then.
Like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Bye.